We're here today to talk about real estate.
Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name is Sarah Steinmetz.
Brian Schuby.
Carrie Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones Home Team.
And this is episode 33, and that still was not in a British accent. But,
oh, man.
I mean, we'll come back to that at
I
some
forgot.
point. So we are back. It is getting into a full spring swing of real estate, and y'all want to talk about design. So I think we got quite a bit to cover with that. I don't know. I'm not the design person at all. I know when I walk into something, I like what I see, but how to get there, I have no idea. So we'll let you guys be the experts with that. A few other random things here then too, but we'll get right into it. Who's going to kick us off? You guys going to do a little back and forth?
Yeah.
right.
So Sarah and I are going to kind of go back and forth with what are the in and out designs of 2025 here. So one of the first things here as far as colors. So warm neutrals and earth tones are in. Think terracotta, clay, olive, rich browns, and creamy beiges. It's hot for a multitude of reasons. One, it feels cozy, it's organic, and it's inviting. Buyers want comfort and connection to nature when they're looking at homes. Then, so Sarah, you can kind of go over what's out.
So
Yeah.
wait, real quick. So what was the in? So the colors are
Terracotta,
beige,
clay,
like
olive,
earth tone?
rich browns, and creamy beiges.
Warm.
So like these. Like
Okay.
warm
Yeah,
in
I know
here.
Lil and I are looking creamy beiges, so that's what we looked at paints this weekend.
Nothing I have in my house, but okay. So,
So it
let's
sounds
yeah.
like you got a big remodel.
Oh
coming
no,
up.
Kelly wants to paint all the time. So I said I'll find you a paintbrush, hon. So all right, so that's in.
Yeah, that's definitely in right now. I'm loving like a nice, even just like green stuff like that, like a cozy green. And on the flip, all gray everything. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is on its
That's us,
way
that's
out.
my house, yeah. Gray and white everywhere.
I like what our notes say. It's 2015 when everything started to go like super minimal, and then we kind of just been in that minimalist, like cold, plain. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think when it's done well, it's good. But I feel like it does kind of turn a little bit more like showroomy. It's not so much as lived in. Yeah. So swapping that with warmer neutrals and like layering warmer colors, I think is a really good idea. Just to keep a space, one, lived in. I think that's a huge one. And two, just warm, inviting. Like Brian said, that's what people are looking for now. We're kind of on the other end of the pendulum with everything having been a little bit more sterile now to a little bit more inviting.
So what I'm hearing is our house is totally 2015, which wasn't even built then yet. But yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the houses we went into it kind of looked like that, and that's kind of what we modeled off of. Is just the house itself, like the wall, like the house wasn't the main character, as my kid would say. Like you add in all the color and the stuff with your personal belongings then too.
And
but
like you can't mess up just like plain like whites and grays and stuff
Yeah.
like that either. Like it's always gonna look good. It's just
Right.
a preference of if you like color and pattern and stuff like that, and how that can kind of change the mood around and like the connotation around a room and stuff like that.
that's what you guys are going to, when you guys build, you're going to find that, because that was one of the last few things we had to find out was 1,000 decisions later. Then it's like, okay, what are you painting this? What are you painting that? And how's this wall going to go with that wall and this room flow into that room? And I'm at that point, we're just so fried with coming up with answers to things. I'm like, I just don't care. Just this gray will match that gray. That'll match that gray. And the white is
I
white.
think ours one as far as our build is going to be fairly simple, just because our flooring throughout the entire house is the same. All of our
Right.
cabinets in every room are going to be the same. The countertops all have a very similar design. They're all white with a little bit of mixture of gold in them.
Sure.
And then the paint, I think we're just doing the same throughout. So I
was gonna say with an open concept, it's a little bit harder to get crazy with it because you don't know what's gonna look good next to other things or from across the room, whatnot. If you can see into other rooms, if it's very open, you never know what's gonna actually look good until it's up there. So it's a lot, especially if you're building and you have 1 million decisions to make. It's a little bit easier to just be like, well, if we keep it simple, then we can change it later, but we know it'll look good.
So what I'm hearing is I'm getting a pass then, right?
Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
good.
classy.
No, it
Something
sounds like you got a
classic.
complete remodel.
Got a lot of painting in my future, maybe.
Well, the hard part is if you super customize it with something that's very modern or very trending, then by the time you finish that room, it's almost, oh, now we're on to something else. So
That was literally my argument
if
with
you
that.
go gray or
Yes.
grayish or white or, beige, any of those, they're safe colors and they'll last, they're timeless.
That's what I went with. I'm like, babe, we don't have to want to repaint in 3 years.
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
do it because
Yeah.
whatever color we picked is out.
Yeah,
So
and you could easily bring, like you were saying, like nature and like some natural decor in to like change the space without repainting.
right.
Yeah, I think that's just, in right now is the natural, nature look, the
Yes.
colors, that kind of stuff. So, I guess as far as the next, we got a couple of different things here. So, mixed natural materials. So again, stone, wood, linen, adds texture, warmth, and authenticity to spaces. So again, bringing in that warm or that natural or nature feel, then I think goes a long way. So.
Yeah, I think texture is a huge one too. So if you can combine textures or mix them together, even just in your throw pillows and your furniture and your like throw blankets, stuff like that, mixing it can really elevate a space in a very inexpensive way. If you can,
That's a good example right there. They got the bluegrass cloth in the background,
Yeah, with the texture.
the
and
chunky
stuff.
blanket, the rug. Yeah.
yeah.
See, I feel like this is my department, getting the paint on the wall, but everything else is not me. So
That's what
Beyond.
Pinterest is for.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah. I don't know how you do all that then too. And then you walk into a store and that one pillow's $300.
Yeah,
like
right,
I don't know how
yeah.
you do that then. So
Yeah, I gotta get a little creative. Do some research.
Yeah.
Another open shelving overload, especially in kitchens, because it does become very high maintenance. Because if your shelves are all open and whoever comes in can see what you've got going on, well, then you always have to make sure that it looks nice. And who else has 1 million Tupperware containers that you don't necessarily have enough
oh, mine's
space
a
to put in?
disaster. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want anybody seeing in there.
Those stadium
Right.
cups are real
Yeah.
sexy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, what buyers are wanting more storage that's functional
So you're talking
and tidy.
like this stuff here, just
Yeah.
wide
Yes.
open. I mean, yeah, if you're in
It
a
looks
showroom,
beautiful,
it looks awesome.
but yeah.
There's like type A people that can pull that off. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Well, they must not
me.
have kids either.
Right,
There's no
I know.
way.
See, we're doing that in our pantry, but not our actual kitchen.
But even
Right.
like a little bit, like go back one, Bill, or one more. Yeah, that right there, that's like minimal open shelving
Sure.
compared to your whole kitchen. Or
Yeah.
Well, I've seen the ones like
The
this
whole
where they
top
rip,
half.
all the
Yeah.
doors off, and yeah, that you would not want to see my.
You have to dust and clean, and it looks good, but it's just not
For the
practical.
Yeah.
It's not
No, what would happen
practical.
is this would be all organized, and we'd just cram everything down below
Yeah.
there. The actual real life stuff would be down there. So
Yeah, that's almost like another chore you'd have is keeping that all together and looking good, which is not something I'd want to do.
no,
But I love the look.
I
think
like
it's
that last one
gorgeous.
too. That one has like that wooded look where it's bringing nature in.
see, I mean, we have a little bit of like we just kept an area just like shelving
Yeah.
by our fireplace. Stuff is kind of set up, but yeah, nothing really. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to have to dust my glasses every week, or
Exactly.
not that I'm dusting a whole lot. But
Yeah.
so
just
that's
making
out.
sure.
You're saying
Yeah.
good.
People are wanting the functional hideaway when you randomly have guests and you can just throw it in there real quick. So
See, I could go with that.
I like that,
That's just
yeah.
like that's just decoration to me. That's not like I'm grabbing my
cups and
you know,
plates
Right.
and
the
stuff.
Kona ice, the stack of Kona ice cups that we have that the kids have accumulated. So that's all right. Out. Good.
funny.
That one can be gone. What else? What's in?
Another in statement lighting, sculptural fixtures, vintage-inspired sconces, and oversized pendants. Lighting is no longer just functional; it's part of the design and part of the art of the home. Then
I agree.
But do you have to have sculptures and artwork to?
I don't think so.
Like, what if I don't
but
have that? Should I just have the lighting anyway?
If you don't have that, you should probably find your nearest art dealer and buy.
just buy everything they have. Okay.
I have a French country. Actually, I think it was one of the first sales I did in real estate. I was like, I really want this light. I'm going to buy it, and it's a really amazing chandelier-looking French. It's a orb, but it's like I don't know, French country. It's like a chandelier meets rustic, and I absolutely love it.
Right. Like I guess we have some cool light fixture. I don't have any cool arts or statue or anything like that, but I mean, a couple.
I
of
feel like
neat-
that just adds to it though. If you're not super like decor centered and have all the art and stuff like that, then at least if you're gonna have a light there anyways, then you can make it a little bit.
I like the cousin
Functional
it, like light up there.
this goofy thing
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Like
And it's
could
cool.
do
Lights
nothing.
can be expensive. You're gonna find that
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Shoot, man, lights can be super expensive. That's They can be fun though. But yeah, I think that's almost our accent, I guess, is some of these funky. Heck, even the office we're in here, we got some goofy light fixtures. So, all right, so that's in. What's out?
That is in.
That's in. What's out, and I don't know if a lot of people are gonna want to hear this one, but the cookie cutter modern farmhouse is kind of on its way out. Shiplap, and also hot take, but I hate shiplap so much. But barn
You're gonna make some
doors,
enemies there.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm side-eyeing you real hard right now.
Stuff like that is all kind of on its way out. More refined rustic and organic modern approaches are a little bit more in. Nothing wrong with your beautiful, gorgeous modern farmhouse.
See, to me, that's amazing.
I think the thing is, it's just like a little overdone at this point. Everyone's done it.
Like you said, cookie cutter.
Just
Yeah. And you've got like the signs and stuff that's like
farm fresh eggs.
Yes,
or
yes. Not like the live, laugh, love, but the rustic version
it's
of
the
it.
same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the live, laugh, love is good still.
No.
That's way out now.
If you still got live, laugh, love,
I don't think
you might
we have
want to
any
sell
of
it. It
that.
might be worth something
Yeah.
at this point.
The antique. All right.
One of the other in soft curves and arches, arched doorways, rounded furniture, curved kitchen islands. It helps create flow, softness, and high-end feel and high-end custom feel. Then, so yeah, curves and arches are back in compared to having things squared off. So
I think a big one too. A lot of like 1950s-ish homes have always had like the curved
Yeah, the arch,
doorways,
yeah.
and I love that. I'm obsessed with that.
So, are you putting those in your house?
we do not have those at the moment, but
You better
maybe.
redesign it then.
I don't know. I'm doing the drywall, so that's maybe a little more challenging for me to do.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I've done an archway that had to be sanded and stuff and mudded in a
in
circular,
a smooth
it was
manner. Yeah.
Not
Yeah, if you're doing
ideal.
it, the square is so much easier than doing
Yeah.
curves and things like that. So I might screwed up that search. All right. Well, what's out then? from
Another
that?
out, fast furniture. Same with how fast fashion's kind of coming out.
Fast furniture. I've never heard that. What is that?
Disposable, mass-produced pieces.
Oh,
My
okay.
Amazon
Yeah.
couches that came in a box.
Buyers are starting to value quality, sustainability, and longevity. So more of investing in furniture pieces that are going to last a long time instead of something that might not make it through more than a couple years. So it can move with you and withstand kids and pets and life and all those things.
So you're talking like all the furniture everybody has now, all the
I
Amazon,
think more
the
so
IKEA,
like the Temu, the
Yeah.
Amazon like $100 couches that are probably not gonna last.
Flip and click, like college furniture
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
versus statement piece, like heirloom items, curio cabinets that were passed down from generations.
And that's the thing. Well, being in the auction industry, I find tough because a lot of people, like the older generation, still has the Amish cabinet that was made and they paid $10,000 for it, and it'll last through the next World War. But nobody seems to really want those
and
yet,
I think
you know?
like
Maybe it's coming back, though.
I think it is coming back slowly because I think the people that have spent money on these throwaway furniture really thought that you were going to get, some 10 or 15 year sturdy furniture, and it's fallen apart in the first 2 years or
Right.
3 years. And it's not going to be the same for everybody because if you're moving, so like our situation was, we couldn't get a full size couch in the room that we were putting it in. So we got the Amazon couches because it came in a box that we could get it in and set it up. So
Right.
if you're moving every 2 years, maybe, and you're moving far, maybe you leave the furniture with the house and you just get cheap furniture every time you move. But if you're building, maybe you want that quality craftsman,
The couch
table.
you'll have for
Yeah.
10 years or
Sure.
so.
or
Yeah.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah, you see like this stuff, like just the
Right.
You know.
And that's great for a guest room.
Yeah,
Or just,
I think
Right,
you see a lot
yeah.
of that
Something
stuff,
like that.
Something,
Kids.
but if some random room, you go buy a nice one and it's $3,500. Yeah, not everybody wants to do that. So
Right.
or afford that when you're building.
Right,
Yeah,
you
right.
can't.
For
That's,
sure.
It gets to be ridiculous. So especially when you're starting from nothing and have to
Yep.
do the whole house, that's a lot. All right, so I've never heard fast furniture, but I know exactly what you're talking about. I guess just I've got a mix of that in my house, I guess as well. So get rid of it.
One of the other things that is in is the minimalist style. So clean lines meet cozy features. Simplicity, function, and elegance without having the cold feeling to it then is now in. So
That's what I just don't want stuff. We've just been trying to get rid of
Yep.
things.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about cleaning around and doing whatever, just more to
yeah, like we
pick
always
up
say,
and-
less is more.
Yeah,
So
for sure. It's hard with kids, but
I know.
think,
I can't wait to get a dumpster at home.
yeah, just get rid of
We're just like
everything.
picking
Yeah.
up and spring cleaning. It's like, oh my gosh, we could fill a dumpster.
We're still at the spot of like the toys from when they were babies they don't want to get rid of. You know,
And-
I'm
and
like, you're
that's it.
basically
Like, they
teenagers.
don't-
Like, get out of here with that.
Draven said, why do we have all this stuff that we don't even use? And I said, because when it's valuable, nobody wants to get rid of it. And then when it becomes junk, then it's like, nobody wants to deal with it
Right,
because
yeah.
it's just junk.
It is hard. I paid $100 for that. I
I know.
don't want to
You
get rid of
did.
it, but yeah,
You
it
did
still doesn't
pay
mean it's worth
$100.
anything now. So, all right. So that minimalist, I like that.
Yep.
Yeah. On the outs here too, it says ultra minimalist white interiors, which I think is an interesting spin because
Yeah.
I feel like minimalism's still in very much, but I think minimalism to the point where you have no things and it's like a barren,
Sterile,
cold
like,
place.
yeah.
Yes, I think that's definitely on its way out.
Mm-hmm.
But the minimalist where it still looks lived in, but it's not cluttered or you have a bunch of extra things that you don't necessarily use or need. But like where there's just one table, one chair, like very clean,
Like
white,
serial killer kind of
Yeah.
look. Like you walk into the like,
Yeah.
like
room.
too modern. Yeah, I think.
I mean, that's
on its way
almost
out.
like it needs
I mean, it needs some
something.
more,
art
but
or a plant or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're just if you're listening, we're just randomly searching stuff on Google here for minimalists or the different topics we're coming across. So, I mean, to me, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's kind of sterile, but it's
Yeah.
Right.
It's clean.
But there's at least some pillows and blankets and stuff in there. Like
Right.
when it's like just the couch.
I can just
on the
imagine my
little table.
dogs coming in there all muddy,
Yeah.
and just destroying that room in like 3 seconds.
And it's decorating. It's a matter of preference for the person because every family is different. Every individual is different. Their lifestyles are different.
I mean, that's like just. I don't even know where Kim Kardashian lives, but I just imagine that's like a Kardashian
is giving
house. You
Kim
know what I mean? That's just like a, do you actually live there? Is it just your showroom for the day or for the
Right.
shoot? I don't know. So yeah, I couldn't imagine living quite that sterile. It's like Star Trek.
Yeah.
Just
That's-
nothing there.
That right
Black
there is a
Mirror.
bit
Yeah.
much. I would have to put up some colored curtains
All
or
right.
something.
So we want to be minimalist, but not too
But not
minimalist.
too
Country, but
minimalist.
not too country.
Okay, so get rid of
Furniture,
some of the
but not-
country. All right.
You find the perfect
trying to keep
medium
up.
of
Yin and
everything.
yang.
one of the other ends is smart home integration, but
yeah.
but people don't want to see it. So, they say, what is it called? But like the cat lines and stuff, like run the
Ethernet and all that
yeah,
stuff.
the tubing behind the wall, do all those sorts of things. So build in tech with sleek control panels, under cabinet outlets. I know I've heard a bunch of people say stuff, they want the outlets under the cabinets instead of, seeing them on the wall, and hidden speakers. Buyers want tech, but they don't want to see it. So
Yeah, that's a really good one.
There was a smart thermostat in a house that I was just at that is like a mirror when you're not using it, which
Oh,
I
that's
haven't
kinda
seen
cool.
That's kinda
before.
cool.
Yeah, just like a
I
small
was gonna
mirror
say,
on the wall.
even the TVs anymore, they do the frames for the
Yes.
TVs and stuff, so that way you could put a picture up and it look like art
Right,
rather
yeah.
than a TV.
That would be pretty cool. That's I mean, there's so many things. I mean, the first smart home thing to me was like the Nest thermostats
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and yeah, they've gone a long way. So, well, now I'm looking at refrigerators with Noah, and he wants the one with the huge. We don't need a refrigerator, but he goes, "Oh, we got to get this one with the huge screen on it." Because you don't need one more screen in the house to play whatever you're playing.
Tap
on.
to see if you
Right.
need milk.
To me, that's just another thing to break.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
And you
yeah.
probably need a $30 a month subscription to make it work anyway. Or something stupid then. So, all right. So we like the smart homes. Well, I guess part of it too is figuring all of it out and maintaining it. I mean, I don't know if there's maintenance with it really, but I don't want one more thing to have to fix or I don't know. I guess my home's not very smart, so I don't know what would be.
Like the Wi-Fi in the fridge goes out.
Yeah. Okay. My oven does that. My oven and microwave connect to the Wi-Fi. I don't know why.
That's crazy.
But it constantly is yelling at me that
Probably
it's
because
disconnected.
you can control it from your phone. Because
Probably.
I think it's Samsung. I've got a washer
Yeah.
and dryer, and I think I can program. I go downstairs and push the button.
Yeah, that's same with mine. So I guess now that you say that, you can do all that. We've never used it other than it starts freaking out every time like the power flickers and it
Yeah.
loses connection. And yeah, we got several devices, I guess, that do that. But
That's so interesting.
so it's just, it's more for me to, because no one else is going to fix it. So it's up to old dad to come and reprogram this oven every 5 minutes. So Okay, so we like it. We just don't want to screw with it.
Yeah.
See
Now,
it.
what are you going to tell me that it's?
Oh,
We don't want it.
No. It's fine. It's fine. Another one's just overly industrial looks, harsh metals and exposed ductwork, stuff like that. I think that goes back to making, the soft arches, the warmer colors, everything just a little bit softer. Nothing too.
Chipotle kitchen.
That's what I was just
Yes.
thinking. Chipotle. You walk
Yeah.
into Chipotle, it looks like that. That's.
And I
Bill,
think
you're gonna
if-
have to break the news to him.
Kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
bit.
you're out.
No, but when I do walk in there, I'm like, that's actually kind of brilliant because they save so much money.
Oh yeah, they just
Doing it
painted
the
the
way they
ceiling
did it,
and
yeah.
hung up some 2x4s, and it looks
Yeah.
cool. And the ductwork's still exposed, so.
And I think too, it's nice if it's done sparingly. I don't mind like industrial as long as it's not the entire space and the entire concept.
Like that's a little much. I don't know. But again, to me, that's just saving money. They
Yeah.
just cleaned up what was there. They didn't redo anything, and yeah, I could go either way with that. I just like Chipotle, so I can't go too hard
Is that
on
what we're
that.
doing for lunch today?
Yes,
Everyone's
yeah.
eating
Another in is wellness-focused spaces, so home gyms,
Home.
infrared saunas, yoga corners, and steam showers.
Mm.
Health is wealth now, and a strong selling point. So,
I can
Which
see
there's
that.
more and more. I see a lot of people doing the saunas and
Yep.
things like that. I don't know.
A lot of the podcasts that I've heard lately are all you can't get rid of all the metals and toxins in your body without steam or saunas. So
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's like following me around, telling me like
Yeah.
go to the sauna.
I'm sure it's good for you. I don't know. I don't know what the cost. It's not only just the cost, but making it fit. Because that's not a small thing to fit in
Yeah.
most homes in, too. I think you have to have a space
you got plenty
for
of
it.
space in your basement.
Yeah, right. Just
I'm
getting
just
it
gonna
in
use
there.
my Y pass. I'll
Yeah.
just let
Right,
them
right.
clean it
Yep.
and take care of it.
They can deal with that. So,
That's
all right.
funny.
So you don't necessarily need to put in a yoga room in your house or anything crazy.
Ooh,
That'd be
but I
cool.
like that.
I know, right?
All right. What's out?
Another out. I feel like this one's been out. But wall-to-wall carpeting. I feel like, especially after the craze of having carpeted bathrooms and kitchens and green everywhere and stuff like that, I feel like wall-to-wall carpeting has been out. It's been more of rugs or just bedrooms being carpeted, things like that. Because it's a little bit harder to maintain, but also if you're doing those saunas, those yoga corners, those more wellness focused spaces, I feel like you don't really want to have carpet and stuff like that in there. But yeah, I don't know. That's also kind of a preference thing, especially if
I think a
you've
lot of
got-
that goes with like cleaning too.
Yeah.
Obviously the luxury vinyl floors or even the hardwood floors are so much easier. If you spill it, just wipe it up and go. Whereas the carpet,
Oh, for sure.
collects,
Pets,
pets,
kids, ugh.
pets, kids, hair,
Yeah.
and everything
Dandruff,
else.
allergies, yeah.
There
Oh, I
we
like
go.
that.
There we go. Yes.
I'm gonna talk Bobby into that for
Yeah.
our bathroom.
So it's like,
There you
yeah,
go.
Brady.
That
Oh my
just
gosh, a
screams
carpeted
bathroom.
Whoever thought carpet in a bathroom was a good idea?
Yeah, that
Probably
was
like the
insane.
anti-slip would be
Oh
my
my
thing.
lord.
True.
So because it's slippery, like I don't think. Oh, we should
That
put
makes sense.
marble tile on a wet floor. Like those things don't go together. But
Right.
Also, if you've ever been in a bathroom that has carpet, eh.
Or it's like everything. The toilet's covered in it. They got it
Yeah.
around on the floor. Like
and you
it's
can tell we
just-
grew up in
yeah.
the '80s, right?
Right. All right. So yeah, I think I'm with you, Brian. That's been in for a while. Just do the luxury vinyl.
Yeah.
I mean, which again goes to kind of the minimalist.
Because then again, if you want carpeting, put a rug down. Because then
Yeah.
again, it's not like a carpet where it's there and you can't change it. A rug you can change in and out as much as you want. Go buy a new one and
And it
you know,
goes to like mixing textures and stuff too. If you want shag, because
Yeah.
because you've got a lot of clean lines, stuff like that.
Yep.
A lot of options.
Oh,
See
there
like
it
that.
is.
There it is. Just pick your shag in your bathroom. I don't understand that. But yeah, that's what we've done too. Is just put a big area rug down then too. But that's exactly where the dogs go to bring all their mud and barf up the field mouse they
course.
brought in.
Yep.
And everything is right onto that rug. So it's like they have the whole rest of the floor to hit, but they don't. So
That's so funny.
gross. Sorry. All right, what else is in? Are we?
These are our last ones.
Yeah. So the last one that's in kitchen personality. So bold backsplashes, fluted cabinets, matte finishes, and statement islands. Move over all white kitchens. Personality is now in. So
Yes.
Nice. I
I
like
love
that.
an island.
Yeah.
Again, matter of preference because I've got two buyers. One absolutely loves the oak cabinets, all oak cabinets. She's like, oh, I just love that. And then the other buyer that I've been showing for the past couple of weeks, white everything, white cabinets, white
Right.
backsplash, white, yeah. So,
Which I think it just depends on your preference then,
Yeah.
too. So
for sure. But I think that when you're talking about like putting in things that are classic, if you do white everything, then it's going to be harder to kind of mix and match that versus a little bit of wood, a little bit of white, etc.
So you're going to get me in trouble again. She wants a backsplash. She's wanted one for 5 years. And
Oh, but I
Put
do
it
love a
in.
backsplash.
It'll take 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
She could do the backsplash.
Yeah.
I've seen she could do
I'm
it.
sure she could, but it would turn into me doing it. So either way.
I do love a backsplash.
I do love a backsplash.
To me, what our hang up has been, it's like that's such a permanent, like paint you can change. Like I feel like a backsplash, like you're committed.
It doesn't have to be. There's a lot of runner-friendly backsplashes.
I would say they make some really good like peel and stick. I know it sounds
Really?
tacky and cliche,
Yeah.
but they make
They
some
look
really good
good,
ones
yeah.
now. They've like
Oh, I
elevated
didn't even
their.
think of that. I mean, yeah, because I'm just thinking
Okay,
like that's a.
think about this. When you go to the big box store and you're looking at tile or floor or anything and they have the sample board and you have to run your hand over it to see if it's real or not.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right,
That's
and a
how
lot of them are
good-
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how good they are.
Well, I might just have to do that then, because that's been my hang up is like, okay, what design
What
are
do
we
we
doing?
do?
What color, what pattern,
Yeah, 'cause
whatever.
when
And
we
then-
were just up at Cutting Edge this past week or last Friday then, and that was one of the options they had given us. Now she said a lot of people are now taking the countertop
Just running
and
it
just
up.
running it up on the wall too. So just using the same design and putting it as a full, I guess, wall backsplash then as well, which we did not do.
Yeah, I'm sure
Just
that's cheap
because
too. So yeah,
I didn't even want to know the price, but
right.
Well, that and again, adding the textures and the depths. So
Yeah.
having something that's a little
Mixing it up.
two-tone gives a little character and depth.
I'm gonna what do you call it? Renner's tile?
Runner-friendly.
Renner friendly. I like that. Yeah, that's I'll have to check that out then, because that would be. That's honestly been my biggest hold. It's not just doing it, but it's like I don't want to be put it up there. I'm like, well, it's there now. Like it or
Yeah.
not, that's what you got, babe. For
Well, I
the next-
see some of them, even if they don't do the runner friendly, they do blue painter's tape behind it. And then that way, when they peel it off, it just all comes right off really easy.
That's
Oh,
actually
okay.
really smart. Yeah.
Does it hold up then? I mean,
The one girl had
Must.
it for a couple of years on there.
okay.
And then when she was taking it off, she showed where she had the blue painter's tape and didn't. She's like, I didn't run it all the way down because I ran out or didn't think I needed it. And she's like, man, I really wish I would have, because then she showed
like
like
ripping the wall
steaming-
off and-
well, just getting the adhesive off. Like
Oh,
steaming it off and
okay.
like kind of scraping it off so it came off. But she had white subway tile behind it. I'm like, dingy. I'm
Yeah,
like, why would
yeah.
you cover that up? But
Sure.
everybody's different.
Right. Of course.
Preference.
All right, my last out for 2025 trends is, which this one actually kind of hurts my feelings a little, but tacky accent walls, random bold
Ooh,
color
yeah.
walls, or
way.
sticker decals. That one I can get behind. But honestly, wallpaper is coming back. People are loving wallpaper, which I know is
Yeah.
crazy because wallpaper is such a pain
expensive,
and it's
too.
expensive. But
Lord.
wallpaper
I
is
haven't
like
priced
back
wallpaper ever, so I don't know. Is it
it's gotten
expensive?
really expensive.
Yeah.
Probably because they're making more options and they're using like that. Yeah, they're using high quality products now too, not just the old traditional where you like dump it down in the water and pull it up and the adhesive is like dripping all down.
Sure.
Like now they make like the peel and sticks and
I've
removable
never
wallpaper.
ever looked in. I don't know any. I know kind of what it has to
You
happen,
were
but I don't
probably
wanna
out.
know.
Yeah, you were probably out. Riding your bike and,
Yeah.
and doing those things. Like,
I was just watching a video this morning, and she had kind of like the paneling, like the rectangles, and then put wallpaper in between them to add kind of depth
That'd be
to a
cool.
dining room, and it was so beautiful. But yeah, she
Like that. Throw it in there.
Yep, it was right in the middle of all those,
Yeah.
and it looked so gorgeous. It was floral and stuff, and it was like the most perfect touch. But she said that she'd run out because she didn't order enough because wallpaper is so expensive, and she never wants to over order. And I was like, yeah, that's
I
true.
still love a good accent wall. That's kind of like my light. My light's a little like that, but it's
I mean,
got
yeah, I don't know how you don't
more
like
white in
that.
it.
You know what I mean? Like as far because if not, it's all what
Right.
white.
or beige and tan, whatever new popular color
50
is.
Shades
then.
of
So,
Grey.
yeah,
that
that's,
goes back to the minimalist style, I guess, though. So,
Right, yeah.
Clean lines.
Purple.
And, I don't know about purple. But
yeah.
I'm gonna tell Lil that's what color you
striking.
picked for the.
Yeah, I would say that's what's
For the
in now. You got
backsplash.
to go with that then. So
For the backsplash.
I don't know if I can get behind. There's a lot of them I can get behind with the outs, but that one's tough.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my opportunity to do some color without
Doing
committing
the
the whole
whole thing,
house to
yes.
it, kind of thing too. So
But I do love the wallpaper trend. I don't know that I can afford the wallpaper trend, but
I think more people
It's
are
gorgeous.
bringing commercial looks in. Like when they did the industrial, they also started bringing like, if you went to Hampton Inn or Holiday Inn, like the grass cloth and the lamps, and I think people they were traveling, and so they were bringing their inspirations back into mixing with residential and commercial.
I can see that.
Here you go, peel and stick wallpaper.
Yeah.
Yep.
But does that hold up?
It exists.
Probably not. But
Maybe. I feel like there's a lot of extra like tricks people have come up with too
Yeah.
to make it
That let
stick
them
with
fail
the cheaper
and then-
stuff. Yeah.
right. Is it that expensive? I haven't priced like compared to paint because paint's a expense is just the time and effort involved in it then too. But I imagine there's a lot of time and effort with wallpaper. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like probably $20 for a small roll, like just a little section.
yeah.
But if
The
you're
paint's not
doing,
cheap either.
No.
You know, I mean,
oh,
that's
but I did find a really good paint. So we're talking about home decor. It is Clark and Kensington all-in-one primer and paint, and it's so good. You
I've always
guys.
avoided the all-in-ones. I don't.
Oh,
but it's been a minute since I
it was
painted
literally
though,
like
too.
as thick as toothpaste in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. We didn't have to paint multiple coats on it. We had a Harbor Freight paintbrush for like $8. It was like, I told Bobby, I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
this is
beautiful.
all I'm ever using now.
Yeah.
It used to be Bayer. Like there was a Bayer all-in-one we used. We were like swore by that, and it was expensive. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you buy a cheap paint, a lot of times you find yourself putting like 6 coats on just to get that thick quality.
Yep.
I don't know. That Clark and Kensington, I was like,
So the all-in-one. The couple times I've used that, I was not happy with it. But that's been
Oh,
over
gosh.
a decade ago then too, probably. So
yeah, this was
maybe that's
really
come a long
good.
way.
Yeah.
All right.
Period.
Chube, you got any more ends?
No, I think that's what we got. So.
All right. And you want to get into a house. That's what you need to do, right? That's what everybody needs to do first. Okay, you got to get the house first before you can even have an in or an out on what the design is. Likely, if you're buying something, there's probably a lot of outs that are not. Carrie, you had a couple things on the last page, like as far as like buying, like just
just some questions. Yeah. So assuming that you've already vetted your realtor, this is kind of going in a different direction. So you're looking at houses. I just came up with 5 questions to ask your agent when you're buying a house. And again, this is not like how much is your commission and how long have you been a realtor? This is more specific to the property you're purchasing. So number 1 is how soon can you move in? Depending upon each buyer, their situation is going to be different. And a lot of times on the MLS, it'll say if it's possession at closing, if it's 30 days, if it's negotiable. So that's one thing. If somebody's on a tight deadline and they say, oh, my lease is up May 1st, I have to be out of here by such and such day, you may want to pay attention to how soon you can get into the house. And maybe there's some flexibility, but maybe somebody is just taking their leisurely time and they want time more than, just turning the keys over right away.
It's like we talked a bunch of times. That could be pivotal in your offer and your
That's right.
negotiation for not only your terms, but to get the deal accepted then. And then the timing, like we've talked multiple times too, when your domino buy, sell, multiple houses involved, that's super important.
Right. Yeah. Easements, if there are any easements, and I guess it depends on the property, but one specific example, I was showing a house, not this weekend, but the prior weekend, and the buyer was looking for something that was very remote and very quiet. So we go out to this farmhouse and I'm looking around and I'm like seeing fields everywhere. And I was like, oh man, this big gravel road that's going between these 2 houses. I'm like, I'm not the listing agent, but there's a very good possibility that there's going to be machines or like combines and things running up and down this
planting and harvest time.
Yeah. Running up and down all hours, especially like soon for spring planting and then fall harvest. And so they're like, oh man, I'm not sure about that. Can you check with the agent? And I check with the agent, and sure enough, that's an access point for the farms from behind there. So that's important because they were looking for peace and quiet because of their work hours. So if they work, if they work thirds or sleep during the day or whatever, that would change whether or not they love the house.
Right.
Something so simple.
And there's, I'm sure, probably an easement there. And if there's farm fields next to it, I'm sure there's easements for the field tile that probably runs through there. Very rarely ever used, but it's still, you're buying it, but you have to understand that there's going to be some traffic at some point or someone digging the yard up to fix a field tile. Probably.
Yeah, and shared driveways are pretty common easements. If a garage is over top of somebody's property just a little bit, things like that. Or is there an easement for their fence to be on the property? Like little things like that. But it could turn into a big deal if you buy the property without asking the important questions, especially if that's something very important to you, and it was. So that's a good example. 3, does the town or neighborhood have any restrictions? Property was in a trailer park, and they have a small dog breed or different kind of dog breed. So one of the restrictions is you can only have 2 pets and they have to be approved by the park. So
Fido's got to get the rubber stamp from the
if you
park
have
then?
3 pets, maybe the cat's got to go or one of the dogs have to go. I mean, most people would say, I'm not moving in there because I have 3 dogs, and that's just not going to work
I'm
for
throw
me.
a family member out, basically, is how they feel.
Maybe you've got a 20-year-old Shih Tzu on the, it's kind of circling the drain, and you're like, yeah, old Fido.
Yeah, we'll be all right.
Yeah, we just got this new puppy, and Fido's kind of, hanging on. So yeah, neighborhood restrictions, also like chickens and things like that, like farmhouse animal, like how, what can you have in your town? Is it okay to have, chickens or farm animals, etc.?
Next time we have Dustin Cleveland on, he'll be the chicken expert here. They've gone through that for quite a while now, too. He had to get rid of his rooster. I guess you can have chickens in town, but not a rooster or something. I don't know.
They'd be crowing at the crack of dawn. Is the seller behind on taxes? Most traditional sales, you probably don't have to worry about that. But if you're looking at, short sales or like we talked about earlier, or properties that are kind of dilapidated or situational, you may want to check to see if they're up to date on taxes. And also why they're moving, because they could be behind and they can't keep up. And so they're selling because of that. And
Or sometimes you'll have where they'll say it'll get paid at closing if they're behind on taxes.
That's right.
Like that, because they need the funds. When they're going to get a large surplus of funds from actually selling the house to be able to pay that. I've seen that too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, most of the time. I'd say most everywhere around here, they usually get settled up at closing for the most part then. But yeah, not a invalid question. Why are we $6,000 behind on taxes, I guess. Right. So, yeah.
And that could change your offer, especially if you have to pay enough to get them out of, and maybe financially it makes sense for you, but for them, they can't accept your offer because they're behind so much and they have to get X amount of dollars. So getting those taxes paid up at closing are critical.
Right. And again, if there's good agents involved on all sides, then usually that comes to light, not something that's a surprise at closing, I guess. So,
and most buyers, they're pretty smart. They'll go on the auditor's website and find those things out for themselves, but it's a good question to ask, especially if you're looking at specific types of properties. And then finally, how old are the important things, like the HVAC, the roof, the plumbing, electrical, and not even like how old they are, because if the house is flipped, they might have repurposed things from other, like it may be a brand new stove, but maybe it's not a working stove. And just quite the contrary, like flip it, you might have, a house where somebody's lived for 20 years, and while the furnace and electrical and all that stuff is old, they've properly maintained it and serviced it the whole time. And that thing is just going to keep on. I mean, it's like,
it's going to go on forever. Yeah.
It's going to be a 20, 30-year-old furnace compared to the brand new furnace that they just took out of another, like a rental or something. And maybe it had some issues, but they're like, we'll just throw it in here and call it a new furnace.
Yeah,
so,
it looks fine. Yeah.
Those are some things to kind of pay attention to. And another reason why you want to have a home inspection.
Yeah, the old adage, putting lipstick on a pig, making sure it's actually got, the right stuff in it and it's well maintained.
Yeah.
Not just beige colored with good texture, wallpapered, with vinyl planking floor, but everything else is falling apart around it. Yeah. So
make sure it has good bones.
With zero gray anywhere to be seen.
No gray.
Yeah.
No gray.
All right, cool. Well, there's your fashion and design tips. I'm not the one to call for that. You call all these fine people here. They will help you with a lot of that, but it is important. I mean, it really is. But you kind of mentioned though too, Carrie, like every buyer is different. I mean, it might be magazine beautiful, but if she walks in, he walks in, is like, this is not what I'm looking for. What's it worth then? So we get a lot of sellers say that stuff too. Well, what should I do? What color should I paint? What should I make the floor? What should I do? Whatever. But if it doesn't, is it worth the expense or the effort going through it if it's not going to appeal to everybody, which is not.
Clean it, touch it up.
Yeah.
Touch up the paint.
I feel like too, a lot of buyers, I think sometimes, especially if you're buying a home for the first time or not, I think a lot of buyers just want to do something, like and a lot of times it becomes painting because they just want to make it their own.
Right.
Even if it is like fresh paint or whatever, they're like, I need to do this because I like this better.
No, put their own little stamp on it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, cool. Well, I guess we'll just leave it there here. That is episode 33 in a bag. Come on back here. I think we'll be close to Mother's Day here, right? Didn't we decide? We'll have to do something with that then. Have a Mother's Day special here sooner than later. So do all the things. Yeah.
Let's do a giveaway.
Yeah. Ooh,
let's do a giveaway for Mother's Day.
I thought you were going to say, let's bring on the moms.
Oh, man. That could
this
be fun.
one would have been a good one for the moms.
Yeah. Yeah, we should come up with something
Yeah,
for that
let's do
then.
them
So
all.
yeah, check back.
Like a
We'll come up
pamper
with some kind of
package or
giveaway. I
something
don't know what
fun.
it is then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let us know. Like, share, do all those fun things. Give us your questions. You know what I mean? If you guys some design tips or things like that you think that we missed or want to talk about more, we'll gladly do that. So, but until next time, check on back here. We will see you on episode 34.